We'll begin today's episode of Let's Talk About It in just a few minutes. And the following episode is not suitable for kids. Parents and guidance is suggested. We'll be starting shortly. If you look on the screen there, you see a bunch of pictures or a bunch of things in the pictures. Leave me a comment below if you know what any of these are, and I do know who they are and what they are and where they're from. If you are born in the 80s, which happens to be today's episode, I can name some of them. You got Pee Wee Herman, RoboCop, Ninja Turtles, you got Pac-Man, Terminator, Pee-wee, Rambo, Knight Rider, Hulk Hogan, Freddy Krueger, He-Man, the Brat Pack, Mr. T, Mike Headstone, "21 Jump Street", MTV, Madonna, David Hasselhoff, Run DMC, The DeLorean, Back to the Future, Eddie Murphy, Never Ending Story, Transformer, the Smurf. You can barely see it on the bottom there. I think I named just about it. Oh, Mr. Miyagi. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. We'll get started in just a minute here. Welcome to a special episode of Let's Talk About It with Ryan. As you can see on the screen here, we're going to take it back to the 1980s. This episode is not sponsored by anything. In this episode, I'll be talking about the history of what went on pretty much not every year in the 10-year gap, but some, or if not most of it. This is every major event that happened in the 1980s. On November 4th, 1980, Ronald Reagan, election as U.S. President, defeated Jimmy Carter. On May 18th, 1980, Mount St. Helens volcano in Washington State erupted, killing 57 people and destroying a large area of the wilderness. That's a hell of a lot of people. On June 1st, 1980, CNN cable news network launched and became the world's first 24-hour news network for television. I bet a lot of people didn't know that up until I just said it. The more you know. November 5th, 1980. The Who Shot JR plotline in the popular soap opera Dallas. Millions of viewers tuned in to watch to learn the answers. In the international news, on March 1st, 1980, the U.S. boycotted the Summer Olympics in Moscow in response to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. What a bunch of asses. September 22nd, 1980, the Iran-Iraq War began with Iraq's invasion of Iran, a conflict that would last for 8 years. And we're still in wars with the fuckers. And that was 45 years ago. On December 8th, 1980, John Lennon, a member of the Beatles, was murdered outside of his New York City apartment. And now for the fun stuff. God help us all if they ever burn this crap back. But anyways. Culture and technology. Pop culture, MTV and music videos. The launch of MTV in 1981 revolutionized the music industry, introducing music videos and launching the careers of many iconic artists like Michael Jackson and Madonna, as you could see on that picture there. Blockbuster movies. This era was categorized by a share of blockbuster films, with movies like The Breakfast Club, E.T., Star Wars becoming cultural touchstone. The 1970s and the 1980s was the launch of video games with Pong, Space Invaders, the beginning of arcade games like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, along with the first home system, Atari. that launches in the 70s, even though we're talking about the 80s. Here are more about the 80s. In 1989, it was the fall of the Berlin Wall, symbolized the end of the Cold War. On January 28, 1986, Challenger explosion in NASA space shuttle. It exploded in 73 seconds after liftoff, a disaster that changed the lives of all. Assassination attempt on President Reagan in 1981 of January, the 40th President of the United States, and the AIDS epidemic. In 1984, Nancy Reagan gave that famous speech about AIDS and HIV. I'm reading kind of fast because I got a lot to read here, so I hope you're following along. I take a 2-minute break here so I can catch my breath. I was born in 1984, so half of the 80s. And I'll give you my thoughts about now versus the 80s after I read all this. I'm going to continue reading now. In the 1980s, saw the emergence and spread of the AIDS epidemic, bring awareness to a new, devastating global health crisis. Involving gay men and gay women about unprotected sex. The yippie culture, the rise of the yippie, reflected a culture of materialism and can't even read my own writing. Condicism, that became the hallmark of the era. The baby on board thing was a trend for the longest time, and it still is. We don't find it very much anymore, but they're out there. I've seen them. Used to find them all the time in cars. Baby on board. That's a thing that will never come back in its original form. The fashion and trends of the 1980s featured bold fashion, introducing the neon color, acid wash jean, leg warmers, shoulder pads, and the rise of power dressing, so people don't walk around naked. That would be weird. Internet and portable music became popular in the 1980s with the Mac becoming your personal computer. Also with the new internet development with AOL, America's Online, with You Got Mail, every time you get mail. Portable music devices with the Walkman, cassette tape, boombox, CD, with a new way to listen to your favorite groups. So how much does this thing cost in the 1980s? You guys are really going to get a kick out of this. The average price in the 1980s, gas was $1.19 per gallon. A new car was $7,210. A new house was $68,000. Movie tickets were $3.55. Ground beef was $1.39 per pound. A dozen eggs was 84 cents. A half a loaf of bread was 55 cents. Milk was $1.59 per gallon. A Big Mac value meal from McDonald's, out of all places, was $2.59. And the Apple Mac was $2,500. Also read at $2,500. Here are some of your favorite films from the 1980s. Raging Bull is a 1980s American biopic sports drama starring Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. The Shining is a 1980s horror film starring Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, based on Stephen King's book The Shining. It's a horror sci-fi movie starring Harrison Ford. A 1984 film from creator of Full Metal Jacket was Blade Runner. (1984) and 1985 gave us great movies such as Goonies (1985), Back to the Future (1985), Gremlin (1984), Raiders of the Lost Ark (1981). It also gave us nightmares of such films like Alien (1979), made popular in 1986 by new viewers. 1984 gave us movies that changed pop culture today, like Terminator, with the "I'll be back" line, is the most famous line in movie history, with Dog Days Afternoon, with Al Pacino, with his tagline, "I'm walking here." Also in 1984 came Fame, Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, and Platoon. There's so much more that happened in the 1980s. Can't list them all. So that's that. I remember most of that stuff that I've mentioned. I actually kind of went by the script here. And I'll take one more break and then I'll tell you my thoughts of today versus 1980s. I'll be back in 2 minutes. before I give you my thoughts on the 1980s versus today, I'm gonna name off, if I can, some of the songs that came out in the 80s, like Billie Jean, Beat It, Sweet Dream, Careless Whisper, Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, Tarzan Boy, I Have Nothing, Higher Love, Sacrifice, True Color, Poppy Don't Preach, All Night Long, Do You Think I'm Sexy, Internal Flame. There's gotta be more songs that came out in the 80s. Oh, Never Gonna Give You Up by Rich Astley. The Knight Rider theme, Footloose. The song Fame by Irene Cara. Material Girl. And you got just a lot of stuff that happened in the 80s. Here's my take on how I feel about the 80s compared to now. Where do I begin? So back in the 80s, everything was simpler, everything was cheap, as you have heard. I mean, like eggs were like, what, 55 cents? A loaf of bread was 86 cents or something like that. A fucking Big Mac was $2.55. I mean, I don't know what's happening to the world we're living in, but they're taking everything away. I really don't know how I feel about that. I got mixed emotions. Things are changing, but I don't ever think it's gonna be any better. It doesn't matter what era you were born in, whether it's 1980, 1990, 1960s, 50s, 70s, or 2000s, or 2010. Nothing is never gonna be the same. Even if we're all long and gone, things will never gonna change. It's always gonna be like this. Everything is more expensive now. Everything is jacked up high to the moon. You can't even get a gallon of milk now without spending $10, depending on where you go. I mean, I don't know. A movie ticket now costs $100. You gotta get the tickets. That doesn't even include the damn snacks and the popcorn. Then you gotta purchase a chair ahead of time, so that's another however much that is. $50 to $100, if not more. I remember back in the old days in the 90s when they had the summer movies. They had that every year in the 80s and early 90s. I saw so many movies back then. Like the Mighty Ducks, Lion King, Toy Story, anything cartoon I saw. Pretty much any Disney movies that came out in the summertime I saw. Aladdin. I believe I saw Aladdin. I know I saw The Lion King. And Toy Story. I keep going back to my childhood neighborhood from time to time. And my God, everything is just not there anymore. So I used to live by a video store. store called Lucky's. If anybody even remembers that, that's not there anymore. Some stuff still is. There's a donut store that I used to go to every weekend. That's surprisingly still there. I think I'm getting off track now. But this has just been a crazy universe. I don't think it's ever going to change for the better. I think we're going to get a lot worse before we get better, but that's my opinion. So, I'd like to hear your opinions and jot down your thoughts about now versus the 1980s. So this is just a little bit different episode from what I usually do. I just had to get stuff off my chest and read you some stuff that I found. I usually just write stuff so I know what the hell I'm saying online or on the video here. If you like this content and you somehow like this episode, that's great. Give it a thumbs up. Like the video. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hanging in there. I do the best I can on these videos. And this video is just a little bit different than what I usually do. So, stay tuned for the next episode next week as we get back into our regularly scheduled programming with food. And I hope you guys have a good day. And if you're new to the channel, I forgot to mention, if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and click the word all so you're all caught up on the episodes and the programming that I do on YouTube. And thanks for watching the short. One of those damn shorts, I don't even know which one it was, but it's got like over 2,000 views on it. I think it's McDonald's working cat short that I put on there. So thank you for that. I'll be putting out more shorts as I find them. And then I'll be putting out more episodes of Let's Talk About It as well. And Let's Talk About It will be every Tuesday. It still is. It never will change unless I decide to change it. But for now it's Tuesday. And we are getting to 100th episode. That will happen next year. Sometime next year. We'll have to do something special for that one. Anyways, I'm going to take off now because I'm tired. And I hope you guys tune in next week for the next episode of Let's Talk About It. And I'll be going live once in a while. I'll let you guys know ahead of time. I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching.